Jeffrey Epstein had been awaiting trial on charges of sex trafficking when he was found dead in an apparent suicide. Now an autopsy shows he suffered multiple breaks in his neck bones. That, according to a report in the Washington Post.
Based on the autopsy, based on what we've learned surrounding his history, based upon what we've read about the damage to the neck, the hyoid bone, it's all consistent with suicide. It's less consistent with homicide.
Epstein may be gone, but the demand for justice is intensifying. One of his alleged victims, who claims Epstein raped her when she was 14, is filing a lawsuit against 3 of his staff.
Today is my first step toward reclaiming my power. Jeffrey Epstein and his enablers stole from me.
North Korea says it has no intention of holding any more direct talks with South Korea, a day after its neighbour called for reunification in the next 25 years. Seoul says the North has also carried out another suspected missile test. Let's get more on this from our correspondent Laura Bicker, who joins me now from the South Korean capital. And Laura, let's just deal with the test first. What was it? Do we know?
Well, they're still analysing it here. The Joint Chief of Staff, the South Korean military, are all having a look. It flew from the east coast about 120 miles, 230 kilometres, and landed in the Sea of Japan. It is thought that it looks very similar in style to previous tests. In the last perhaps 23 days, we've counted 6 different missile tests, and at least 3 of them have been new weapon systems. These are missiles capable of flying very low, very fast, and also at least one of them, known as a KN-23, can be manoeuvred within flight.
President Donald Trump's feud with congressional Democrats just crossed international boundaries. With 2 Democratic House members planning a trip to Israel and the occupied West Bank, Trump urged Israel to ban them from entry.
They are very anti-Jewish and they're very anti-Israel. I think it's disgraceful, the things they've said, and they've become the face of the Democrat Party. I can't imagine why Israel would let them in.
A Thursday morning tweet to that effect from Trump is apparently all it took for Israel to reverse its earlier position, barring Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib from entering the country. Israel's prime minister cited their support of a boycott of Israel.
We are not willing to admit into Israel those who call for the boycott of the State of Israel and act to delegitimize the state of the Jews.
Trump's successful effort to pressure Israel is the latest salvo in his battle with the Squad, 4 Democratic women of color in Congress.
President Trump in New Hampshire overnight telling a packed rally, "You have no choice but to vote for me." This, of course, after that unprecedented move, the president pressuring Israel not to allow 2 Democratic rivals into that country. ABC's Terry Moran is in Manchester with the very latest on this. And Terry, just this morning, news that Israel might be reversing course.
Not reversing course there, Cecilia. Good morning. They are, however, opening the door a little bit, and we'll get to that. President Trump lost this state in New Hampshire by a razor-thin margin in 2016, just 2,700 votes. So he's taking aim at it in 2020. He was trying out road testing some of his themes last night on a day where, as you said, he made big news using his presidential clout on the world stage. Overnight, President Trump taking the stage in Manchester for a raucous stump speech, at one point hurling insults at a protester.
That guy's got a serious weight problem. Go home, start exercising.
Newly released body cam video from Colorado Springs. A 19-year-old shot and killed by police. At one point, the video shows his hands in the air running away. He's then shot. ABC's chief national correspondent Matt Gutman with the video, and it is disturbing.
Hey guys, can I talk to you a sec?
Tonight, this newly released body camera video sparking new questions about the final moments of 19-year-old Devon Bailey, who died while trying to flee police. Colorado Springs police responding to a reported armed robbery.
So we got a report of 2 people, similar descriptions, possibly having a gun, all right? So don't reach for your waist. We're going to just check and make sure that you don't have a weapon, all right?
As a third officer approaches Bailey from behind, he turns and runs away.
Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Get your hands up! Get your hands up! Get your hands up!
The officers later performing CPR on Bailey until he was taken to the hospital where he died.
Ten people have been arrested on suspicion of murder following the death of a police officer in Berkshire. This is the scene where PC Andrew Harper, Thames Valley Police, died last night following what's described as a serious incident that took place at around 11:30 p.m. between Reading and Newbury. Well, our Home Affairs correspondent Mark White joins us now from central London. Mark, what more do we know?
Well, not an awful lot more about the circumstances of this officer's death, just that he was at a crossroads on the A4 Bath Road between Reading and Newbury. The exact location, we're told, is crossroads of Ufton Lane and Lambsden Hill. Live shots now coming in off that crossroads. Now, as I say, we're not aware of what the circumstances are, but it was on a roadway, so it's certainly possible that this officer may have been struck by a vehicle.
Mystery surrounds the death of an Australian man who fell off a cruise ship bound for the US Virgin Islands. Jonathan Fowle was holidaying with his wife and 2 children. He's being remembered as a rock star who left his mark as a young entrepreneur.
Jonathan Fowle was a man who loved life, from his music to his business and his family. But in the early hours of the morning, that all ended when he plunged to his death from cruise ship Symphony of the Seas on a trip through the Caribbean with his wife and 2 children.
It's really crazy.
Witnesses say despite the boat turning around quickly, he couldn't be saved. Jonathan Fowle's friends have reacted in shock, posting on social media, absolutely stunned to hear that Jonathan Fowle has tragically passed away. JP was a true rock star and helped so many people get their businesses going.
Sand, rocks, and vast emptiness. The Chihuahuan Desert in the U.S. state of New Mexico stretches hundreds of kilometers. This is where groups of hundreds of migrants, mostly families from Central America, have chosen to surrender themselves to the U.S. Border Patrol.
The question is, why is a growing number of people choosing to cross in this hot and barren place? Last December, a 7-year-old girl died after journeying here more than 3,000 kilometers with her father from Guatemala. She was in U.S. Border Patrol custody. Her body temperature was more than 41 degrees.
It was a horrible thing that never should have happened. If the people hadn't been forced into the desert, it wouldn't have happened.
Michael Sims works at the general store in the nearby town of Hachita. He says the U.S. border wall that guards urban areas and the greater number of border agents there lead migrants to cross in more remote places.
The Amazon rainforest faces an even bleaker future after donor countries said they were withdrawing funding aimed at fighting deforestation. Norway announced Thursday that it was suspending future donations of $33 million to the Amazon Fund after Brazil changed the body's governance structure.
Brazil broke the agreement with Norway and Germany since suspending the board of directors and the technical committee of the Amazon Fund. They cannot do that without Norway and Germany agreeing.
The move comes days after Germany cancelled $38 million of funding to other conservation projects due to increasing deforestation. Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has responded angrily, saying both countries should focus on their own environmental track records.
What's with this fight? They call me Captain Chainsaw. I am the destroyer of the Amazon.